Welcome to Macro Crest, where we focus on fundamentals for our directions and then technicals for our entries. Okay, so last week we had a couple of central bank meetings, and the dollar was kind of tilting to the dovish end. It was a hawkish statement, but we had that 40 billion injection. So that's some form of quantitative easing of some sort. So it's not really too okay. The Swiss franc, see, they were kind of neutral and all that. So this week we will be having the inflation data from CAT, quite important. Okay, the market is already pricing in price higher, right? Or the same. So that's still CAT strength. That still falls into CAT strength. Then we look at the labor data from the pound. You're looking at 5.1% higher and the average earnings going lower. So that's weakness. Still flooding into the pound weakness. And then we had we'll be having the labor data from the US. Average early earnings should be increasing according to what analysts have. Then unemployment is climbing. Then the NFP going down. So that's still weakness in terms of pricing. Core retail sales going lower. So still weakness in terms of pricing. And then we have the CPI for the inflation for the pound. Of course, last week we had the bad GDP for the pound. So if this inflation goes lower, of course, that's massive weakness for the pound. Okay, so NZD GDP quarter on quarter going higher. That's a good one. Previous was in the negative territory. So what we look at is how has it been? Okay, so we're anticipating it going higher. Fine. And the pound, they're looking at a cut, kind of a bearish cut, a dovish cut, sorry, rather. So they'll be cutting, and the euro will be holding. If we anticipate this, then we already know that they're pricing in euro strength, pound weakness. Um, Inflation data from the US. Okay, so the market, they're saying probably it might come out. I don't really know, but I don't really care. The BOJ. So here is the thing. The market is already pricing in a hike for 2026 and 2027. So this is 0.75. They're anticipating a hike on Friday, right? So if they're anticipating a hike, means traders are already looking at buying the yen. So we are looking at some form of probably yen neutral strength. Okay, so Dixie, first of all, what we look at the Dixie, it's bearish on the Dixie. There are no two ways about it. So last week it did exactly what we anticipated. This week, bearish. So I expect probably price. Let's take this out first. Probably price pushing exactly from this point to this, then we drops or it drops first, giving us a drop base drop, then pushing back higher. That's what I'm looking at for the dollar. For the yen, I'm looking at yen weakness. First of all, we have this drop base drop on the weekly, so we are looking at H4 supply. We have these points, which is the first internal point, and then we have this other end. So if we are looking at weakness, is this a time to push higher? Probably. So you just have to identify that. Going to my chart, the first thing I have is my Aussie. Remember Aussie, I'm looking at Aussie strength of some sort, and NZD also some strength of some sort. Looking at this is a doji of previous week. So we're looking at price going higher. What do? We go to our D1, and there is no demand yet. So I have nothing to do with Aussie USD. Um, let's finish the Euro USD pace. For Euro USD, it's fantastic. I have this demand area. I anticipate price to heading. We can long from here. Yes. So this was the analysis I gave. Of course, it has played out, and that is ended. Let's look at this. Either price bounces off here and then we go higher, or it bounces at the demand first before, so we might just see a pullback and then we can long. So for that, pound weakness, if you're looking at pound weakness, we might see a short from here down to this point. Why? Because if you go to our weekly, let's look at the weekly. We're having a doji and I'm anticipating price continues higher, right? If that is the case, where is my D1 demand? Can I call this a D1 demand? That's the question. So this is not on my list at all. NZD is a better one, because if you look at this on the monthly, we are pushing higher. On the weekly, we are pushing higher. So where is our D1 demand? This looks like a D1 demand, but this is also a D1 demand. You might see price bounce off here. So if that is the case, what do we do? You might try to follow up on this price action, and that's all I believe NZD can give us, because we are higher highs already. UK, so NZD, USD card. Yes, we've been bearish so well, and we've not had an entry so far. I'm looking at selling. If I'm looking at selling, I don't have a D1 supply here, so that's why I'm looking at buying. On my 4 hours, what I'm saying is this is structure. This is my structure. So this is my lower low. I'm anticipating a lower high, which might break this point to start selling from here. This is my anticipation on that. Nothing serious. And then finally on the USD pairs, we have the UJ, which I anticipate that it should continue higher. On the D1, look at this. We have internal breakout structure on H4. Price came to this zone, so I'm anticipating a higher structure for this. And then final on the gold, look at this. It's bullish. Yes, last time I analyzed earlier the first week, I analyzed that this should bounce here and continue, and that's it for gold. It has done exactly that. Now, looking at this clearly, this let's look at this. This is our range, right? Now, this was internal range, and now we are anticipating an internal range again at this demand. It's just plain simple. Um, Back to yen strength. Let's assume there is yen strength, right? The only pair I'm looking at yen strength is this week NZD JPY. Why? Because this is a weekly demand, and the D1, the demand is there. So on the 4 hours, this is just the only problem I have. This is what I'm looking at. This is the range. So if this is this, I expect a grab of liquidity, a break, pullback, then I can long. This is just what I'm looking out for NZD-JPY. NZD Swiss, in terms of Swiss neutral, price is reacting from this weekly daily demand, and there is a lot of room for price to get to this point. So I'm anticipating this price to go higher. That is NZD Swiss. GN is not too clear. G Swiss is a similar thing, price going higher. Okay, so for the euro strength, looking at the euro JPY, I'm still looking at longs from here. The euro card, it's not too clear, but I can see a short here. Why? Because this is this range. This is this range. It's betting that push, and then for Swiss JPY, it's not too clear, but BTC. Okay, so a lot of people have been asking. This is BTC. This is the range, right? And I expect price to go lower. Sorry, to push higher here. But the question is it ready? You are looking at this. This is just a trend line, and I expect a grab of liquidity, taking this low first, then we can start looking for longs from there. So that's what I'm anticipating for BTC. Yes. So worst case scenario, we might even see BTC head up to 45,000 if it's going to drop from this point, 103 to head to 45,000. So that's all for the week.